Vince and Olivia. My name is Peter Gubbles, and I will be the moderator for this session. What we will be presenting to you is the situation of farming in the Sahel, a group of countries in West Africa and towards the Sahara Desert. And we'll show you a map of where these countries are. And then the challenges faced by these farmers, most of them small-scale farmers working on maybe 4 or 5 hectares of land at most, to deal with climate change and land degradation, and then the role of trees and agroforestry in that task of dealing with both land degradation and climate change. And to do that, the way I have 2 panelists that will be with us, who are both presenting and also available for questions that you might have after seeing our presentation, and 2 small videos, short videos. So I would like to ask them to both introduce themselves. Chomba, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, Peter. Hi, everybody. I am Burgu Chwamba, living in Fadangurma in the eastern region of Burkina Faso. I am Groundswell International Regional Coordinator for West Africa, working with local partners in Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana, and Senegal.
Thank you, Chamba. And we also have another colleague. Fatou, can you introduce yourself, please? And can you put on your video just for now, if you can, so people can see you? I know your bandwidth is a bit limited, but just for this. Or Vince, if you can help with that. Okay. Fatou, you have to unmute yourself and unmute yourself first, and then present who you are. No, Fatou, you're not. You're on mute. You're not muted. Vince, can you help? There you go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Fatou Bata, based in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. I am a board member of Groundswell International, but also a resource person for ANSD, Association Nourrice and Détruire, a partner of Groundswell based in Ouagadougou. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fatou. And I forgot to mention that I'm based in Ghana. I think what we would like to do, the way it will unfold, is that we are emphasizing the testimonials of farmers themselves, both men and women, about how they have benefited or engaged in the work of agroforestry to deal with climate change and land degradation. And but before we get to the testimonials, we would like to give you a short PowerPoint presentation of what agroforestry means in the Sahel and how it works. And then that will hopefully inform you to better understand, when the farmers speak themselves in the videos that we've prepared for you, how to interpret that or to assess that. So Chomba, can you share your screen and present a short set of slides on what agroforestry is, and especially the way that we do it through farmer-managed natural regeneration. And you'll understand what that means after you see the video, the PowerPoint. Chomba?
Okay, thank you, Peter. I hope you see my screen. Do you see my screen? Okay, I'm coming.
And you didn't start at the beginning, Chomba. You have to go back to the first slide.
Okay, this is where I'm going now. Okay, can you see me?
Yeah, but you're still not on the first slide.
I'm there.
There we go. And now full.
I'm on full screen also.
Yep, go ahead, Chamba. You have 18 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I've already introduced myself, so I'm going to present straightforward. So here we are pleased to present Groundswell International's and its partners in West Africa experience about implementing agroforestry as part of agroecology. We are working in West Africa in places that are indicated by the yellow arrows. On the left, we have Catherine area in Senegal, where our partners, Agricole Afrique, is working. On the right, you have Eastern region of Burkina Faso, where INSD works. And in the middle, Dominion Circle, where Sahel Eco works. And beneath, you have Upper West Ghana, where our partner SICOD works. So we are talking about more or less 60 million small-scale farmers in agroecologically fragile, risk-prone area where people grow mainly sorghum, millet, and cowpea. Climate change leads to drought, erratic rainfall, rising temperatures in our area, the Sahel, especially in the dry and the semi-arid zones. Sahel is a climate change hotspot where temperatures are rising 1.5 times faster than the global average. Alarming projection of temperature rise of 3 to 5 degrees Celsius by 2050. And by then, some scientists predict a decrease in agricultural production of millet and sorghum of 20 to 40% in the Sahel due to extreme temperatures. The climate change interacts with land degradation and soil fertility declining. And those among the causes of declining soil fertility and land degradation, we can mention inappropriate agricultural practices, as you can see in the photo taken in Burkina Faso, where farmers used to cut and burn everything before starting cultivating. There are also population growth that put pressure on natural resources and that does not allow any more traditional fallowing, meaning letting the land rest and letting the tree grow. So within agroecology, we can see agroforestry implemented in some area. And here you can see the photo showing cereals and trees cohabitating. This is possible because we still have small bushes in the farms, usually from tree that was cut, and that still have extensive root system that can allow them sprout again. Here you see an illustration of the root system underground, and all that we see after cutting trees in a field or the tree shoots. These are supported by a large root system which enables shoots to grow quickly. Farmers manage natural regeneration of trees is one and major practice among agroforestry that is part of agroecology. It is an approach for mobilizing farmers to restore their natural environment through the systematic regrowth and management of existing trees and shrubs from sprouting roots system or wild seeds. Here we can see a demonstration of FMNR with farmer leaders. Another technique of FMNR is to prune the trees before growing season, to use leaves as mulch, generate firewood, and prevent competition with crops. The trees seen here also serve as windbreak, protecting the crops. FMNR also helps decrease temperatures. Here you have two examples. One measuring temperature in the air and the other on the ground. And in both cases, you have under shade and outside the tree canopy. And as you can see, in the air, it can decrease the temperature up to 10 degrees. And underground, it's about 35 degrees in decrease. So that means FMNR is an effective way to reduce temperatures in the agricultural environment. So FMNR trees also have a positive effect on soil, water in the soil. And you can see on the left, the illustration through the blue arrows indicating daytime transpiration, and the black arrows indicating nighttime hydraulic distribution between the trees and the crops, the nearby crops, through the root systems. That is also shown in the photo on the right. As you can see, the plants of millet surrounding the neem tree are growing faster than the other plants not close to the tree. Falling trees' leaves increase organic matter in the soil, which in turn increases soil water holding capacity to deal with drought. As we can see under the big tree, the millet is growing faster than the other area that is not under the trees, which means the organic matter help increase the soil retention in the soil and that nourish those plants. Here is another example that organic matter increases soil capacity to retain water. It has been proven that when you increase organic carbon by 1% in the soil, you allow that soil be able to retain extra water up to 144,000 liters, increasing the organic matter carbon by 2. It leads to an extra water amounting to 188,000 liters, so on and so on. FMNR has also transformational effect on landscape. Here you see an illustration from Mali. These two photos have been taken the same day by Sahel, our partner in Mali. The two plots are less than 500 meters apart. On the left, you see how green it is because thanks to the implementation of FMNR, and on the right, it's more or less barren soil because nothing has been undertaken there in terms of FMNR. FMNR also has positive effect in terms of farm yield. And here, there is an example showing that without FMNR, you have farm yield ranging about 300 kilograms per hectare. But when you implement FMNR, the yield can grow up to nearly 800 kilograms per hectare. This is a result of a study implemented in 2010. And that was done in Senegal. And another figure emphasis on the role of trees in the farm yield. When you see the numbers, it tells that as you increase the number of trees, the density of trees in your farm, so you also increase the farm yield. And in blue, you have the example of places with 0 tree, and the farm yield is less than 150 kilograms per hectare. When you have 50 trees, it increases more up to 200 and something kilograms per hectare. And if you go up to 200 trees, you have more than 300 kilograms per hectare, so on and so on. In addition, FMNR has effect on cash income and animal feed. Indeed, local trees often produce fruit of forage that can be used by the farmer or be sold for cash. Here you have in the photo an example of Burkina Faso, where a farmer is showing the maize that has been cropped in his farm, and also in a bag you see 3 fruit pots that he has collected for his animals. A study implemented in Ghana shows that FMNR combined with crop rotation gave additional income to farmers. It can go up to 102 euros. And moving from low tree density to FMNR and soil conservation increased crop yield by 86% or more as trees matured. And concerning food security, FMNR farm household are considerably more food secure and climate resilient than non-farmer. It means in good year or in bad year, those who implement FMNR are always better off compared to the other who do not adopt that techniques. FMNR also has good effects on women, workload, and health. Indeed, with FMNR, regular pruning of regenerated trees on the farm greatly reduces women's time and workload in collecting firewood while saving trees on the forested land. Usually in Burkina Faso, and it's the same in Mali and Senegal, where we were, in the afternoon, women and girls are allowed to go in the forest nearby the farm and collect firewood for cooking. And it puts pressure on the nearby forest. And if you have trees to prune in your farm, it reduces the time women will go in the bush trying to collect firewood, and it also reduces their workloads as they will not be obliged to carry that wood from afar to their houses. Here we have an example of women coming back from the farm where they prune trees with branches that will be used as firewood. This is an example from Ghana, where SICOD works. Because of all these good effects, positive effects on various areas of human life, especially small-scale farmer, Groundswell West Africa and its partner do advocacy to convince decision makers to take in account the approach of agroecology in their local development plan, in the regional development plan, and even national development plans, because it will help alleviate the bad effect of climate change, and it will deal with soil health. We will have more productive soil, and we will live in a stable environment in terms of natural resources. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm ready to respond to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chamba, for that presentation. And I will ask the participants to be a bit patient, and you might have a number of questions. I see a number in the chat box from Mark and others, but I would like now to shift to the videos that we have, because what we have presented now is sort of the technical dimensions of FMNR. Again, FMNR means farmer managed natural regeneration of trees. These are not trees that are grown in pots and then transplanted. These are the trees that are naturally growing in the field. And this is the technique, one of many within agroecology. But what we want to hear first before we get to questions is how the farmers themselves, the men and women who are doing this, and the communities in which they are, and how they see it and how they benefit from it from their perspectives. And they will be speaking in local language, but you will see the translation in English at the bottom of the screen. So Vince, can you roll the two videos? One is from Ghana and one is from Burkina Faso.
Land is a problem in our community. The little land that we get, we try to make the best use of it. We go to our farms, you see us planting, we will be doing mixed cropping. A teacher is to impart knowledge, and I'm a teacher. The women came and asked for the help. Unless you teach them, they can never know. It inspires them to do the same thing. Whatever we are doing is for the benefit of our children and the comfort of our homes and the country as a whole.
Farmers have been researching, farmers have been working, and farmers have their own knowledge, they have their own systems. This has always guided their farming practices. And so to help them to move forward with what they do as farmers is to build on their existing knowledge, build on their capacities to be able to increase and amplify some of these things that are not known.
SICOT as an organization, our basic work, as I said, has always been to build on what farmers are already doing best. If development doesn't reflect the culture of the people, then it is no development, it's not sustainable development.
Climate change has become an issue. Environmental degradation has become an issue. So there's a clear link between number of trees on the farm and how it increases food productivity. One easy way to increase the tree cover on your land is use of the farmer-managed natural regeneration. It is cheap as compared to conventional tree planting. Farmer has the responsibility of managing the trees. So our role has been just to introduce the principles. The farmer's responsibility is to adapt that in a way that's best suit his system. We have an African saying that I am because we are, and everybody in the community can go ask any of them, hey, I want you to come and teach me how to do pruning on my farm, and they feel proud that they are delivering service to their community.
We believe that if development is going to be sustainable, you look at the existing institutions in the communities. And secondly, for Africa, you need to look at women. Women are very important for development from the point of the family, for the community, and for the nation as a whole.
We are empowering other women because there are certain things that they should have known. That is their right. If they have that knowledge, they have power.
What we did was to encourage them to work together as one group in order to be able to share lessons among themselves, to support each other.
RUFAC stands for Rural Women Farmers Association of Ghana. RUFAC is educating women, first and foremost, to go back to our roots. That is the use of our indigenous crops. We are teaching them some lessons as we go along. We teach them also lessons pertaining to their health and their houses and their children. If this is going on in every community in Ghana, I bet you there will be a lot of improvement. We are working hand in hand with SICOT.
RUFAC and SICOT and most of our farmer networks have been campaigning seriously against the passage of the Plant Breeders Bill in Ghana.
The bill, currently as it stands, does not have any clauses that protects indigenous farmers, indigenous seeds. Why are we now allowing them to take over the control of our seeds and also the lives of our farmers?
We said we women are the solution to the problem.
And so in northern Ghana, for example, the peasant farmers was able to mobilize over 600 farmers who came out to say, no, we don't want genetically modified seeds.
The government should understand that we are not interested in the GMO seed. We want to propagate our own crops.
The campaign, the demonstrations we did here is ended, but the real demonstration is on the ground. Whatever policy we're making, if it doesn't reflect the ideas of the people on the ground, it's not going to take us any way forward. If Ghana is going to develop, it should be developed based on the strength we had. And the strength of Ghana is the peasant farmers out there.
hako tida ba me bama timi pele pa kateko tidam bi ati bang marketing ati pero yali ke pero yali ke tete beru ke tete hiana kan kenju nante timbe tierme ten ka be pia me bama la yo
to timon pa ka na kama wa kin kim da take te aka da ati ke tin kuja la gwaranti nan hini ko nan toro tiam ala la gwer ke tin ya kuja me giema ko be waraka an to gwa ber nan pe pe maintenant pa ber pia poble pia ni ko tem te pini yendo ala le kwanda fa yamba ya pia ni bo ka pia bonje kara banka yamba be yerka.
Our idea is to make sure we can help, we can work with farmers' organizations to prevent such cases of food crisis in their communities.
Ben dem tiembe bangama den kyo yankwari ke den terba o bon ko pon me fan mo pon wen men ba sama kan ko den kyo akira
tu dem tia bamem lemo ko to ba gbezai bi 2000 moi on dit ne timbala mbama ko ba fure e pempera ko boara beba ke twa le kirko ala twa ko furo nyana bale dandana pi ya ko tia ka twa ba ko bodi biya jirgan ko fu.
Faisant la formation des formateurs, chaque paysan qui apprend à d'autres qui apprennent à leurs voisins, à leurs camarades. Cela permet de toucher un grand nombre de communautés ou de populations et dans un temps relativement court.
El madine dine po hatem ba me bangama ko tishana mon mi wen wa ko le ko dia ni nambo ande to ni tele yele yuri la ra pe no cho ala ko yen to ni ko cho awe ni ko le kari na ser mi man tin la ne gware cho temin sen tiare ti chuna mi man we na
mi tiene isae ko an lebe la ko ti an kan ni man ko kwa una un haye ti on wa mu ne mara la ko kan to ru fa dan kan mi to ru fa ya ko bang po ya ba ko mo to la ko han fa he ko mo to nyana ko to ba to ya ko sa.
We focus on women because these women are struggling for everything in the family and they just need this type of support, training, awareness raising.
Une autre chose que nous faisons dans les communautés, c'est d'identifier les groupes de femmes qui sont organisées et qui veulent bien travailler, particulièrement dans ce qui concerne le maraîchage. Nous les appuyons à travers la formation, à travers aussi un appui à un petit équipement pour pouvoir faire le matériel aratoire.
Sing tuma yuma taurana wan. Ton yam te ton menganan tikam kan wen pini. Pipi izera kuisga ne paldama la bilgodo. Ton dika banka men tumpura posen. Tanafton. Si hanafton to bien da katie ton bumun nyawayana ton bezin le nyawa. Yam le kon kitam te passe de bilibili. Nizema ho tomasa wala sunuo men katondi kumake bala zaka pugo runne mam tara kama yopoi mam yawra fwa gile ko la mam kasuko de roy
L'épargne pour le changement, c'est un système de crédit qui permet aux femmes de mobiliser leurs propres ressources financières et le partager entre elles pour celles d'entre elles qui ont besoin d'entreprendre quelques petits commerces, quelques activités de petits commerces. Le deuxième élément important dans ce système, c'est que ça va augmenter, améliorer le leadership féminin. Le vœu, nous souhaitons avoir un Burkina où tout le monde mange à sa faim, un Burkina sans famine, sans malnutrition.
I think this is something helping not only the family but the whole country. Because being able to care for the children, those are the adults of tomorrow, the future of the country.
Pia Burkina Faso kadma tikpa kwa ya bayar mi gema kan ke ba Burkina ko bin kulba Afrika yalla mi yandu ma gema ya yana ko yandu am kan Afrika yarka.
So there you have it. This is the end of the presentations, and now we're going to shift to panel discussions. As I've indicated, hopefully if you heard the videos, you will have heard the points of view of the different farmers, men and women who have engaged in agroecology, and in particular, farmer-managed natural regeneration. So now if you have any questions, please post them and I'll be looking for them. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask our panelists some questions. My first one is to Fatou. Fatou, to what extent do women that we saw in the video participate directly in FMNR? Do they practice it through their husbands on the family fields, or do they also practice it on their own land? Since we know that women often don't have their ownership of land in the Sahel. Can you comment on that, please?
Yes, thank you, Peter. For those who know the West African countries and even Africa as a whole, if you go around the countryside, you will see on the farm women and children. Basically, these are the labor force for farming. Men are there, but basically women first and children. If these two categories of people are not well trained on what is FMNR, farmer managed natural regeneration of trees, this approach will not work. Why? Because they are the one who clear the land. So if they are not aware of how to protect the trees and the roots there, they will cut everything out. So the training, usually what the ANSD do or Groundswell partner do is the training for all of the family members, men and women. And because of their work on the farm, women are the first to be aware how to protect the land through protecting the trees. Of course, they don't have the ownership, but everywhere in these countries, the woman has a small plot where she produces her own crops for the family needs. But also she works on the family farm. So to make sure she could conserve the land she protected, it's important to have negotiation with all the leaders and the landowners and the husbands to make sure these lands the woman will protect through the trees. She was able to also benefit of what would be produced and make sure this is a guarantee. Otherwise, the approach will not work. So it's something we work on the tree side, work on awareness raising, but also working to make women advocate or to have women be sure they can use their land, what they benefit from their land if they protect it.
Okay, thank you, Fatou, for that response. I'm seeing some questions coming in, and I will try to do justice to them. One question is, Chamba, I'll put this to you. How is FMNR taught and spread? And if some farmers are doing it, are not doing it, why, if all those benefits, why are they not doing it? And you know that farmers, I'll just add to that, farmers used to be always cutting down all the trees. So how can you persuade them now that you can leave the trees in the field? So how do you spread it, and how do you convince farmers to apply it?
Okay, thank you, Peter. Yes, in the area where we work, we see the traditional way of farming is to cut trees down and burn. So we are not surprised not to see farmers not practicing. But when we go to the area and start working, we just select some motivated farmers and we train them, and we go in the villages and do sensitization, and we start demonstrating plots. And we use to take farmers from surrounding villages to come and see how it works. And we also go through farmer training their peers, meaning we train some farmers that go and sensitize and train other farmers. And that way it spreads quickly. And FMNR is not difficult at all. It's a matter of pruning trees, protecting shoots. It's not very difficult. The most important thing is the sensitization, so that people can know the multiple benefits they can get while if they implement that innovations. So we use to test, bring farmers to visit, and exchange with those experimenting, and use the cascading training, meaning first set of farmers trained or responsibilized to train other farmers in their neighborhood. In the case of NSD, we used to have a set of farmers from each neighborhood of the villages where we intervene. We train them, and when they go back to their neighborhood, they go and train the farmers that are willing to implement it. Usually we select 2 farmers and 2 men to make sure they're gender balanced.
So basically the answer, to summarize, Chomba, is that it's farmer to farmer training. You train some initial farmers in different villages, and then they apply it, and then they train other farmers, their neighbors, and in other communities. So that's the process. But now the second part of the question is, are there farmers that are resisting or are not adopting, and why would that be if it's so good?
In the area where we work, FMNR is the innovation that is the most adopted, because it's easy, and you can, in most farms, you still have shops. And it goes even beyond the villages where we work. Sometimes you just go across the villages and you see it implemented in an area where you were not intervening. And when you discuss with people, they say, yeah, we've seen it in such and such village, and we just try. But okay, there is one constraint. If the farmer farm has been completely depleted and there's less and less shoots, then it's difficult. It's in that case, we use wild silt to regenerate new trees.
Well, that leads me to another question then, Chomba. So in some cases, if farmers don't have any shrubs or roots, then they can't apply it. And then you have other mechanisms. But one person is asking, since the roots remain viable, can you dig them up and split them to make and then plant them in different places to promote FMNR? Do you have any experience with that? And do you think that could work?
The kind of trees we have here it will not work. But we have some trees whom branches can be cut and you can go and plant the branches and it will work. These trees are very rare, but they exist. But as far as the roots are concerned, it's I did not experience that yet in our area.
So there's a lot of labor involved to cut the roots, dig them up, cut them, and it's easier either just with wild seeds or with cutting the some trees. You can cut the vegetative propagation through the tree, cutting the trees at certain places and planting the tree sticks, and then they will grow.
Yes.
So that's the answer to that. Fatou, getting back to you, you mentioned women's labor. And a lot of times what we see is that we bring new innovations to a village, in this case, FMNR or Agro Forestry. And the concern is whether there would be added workload to women. Does FMNR reduce women's workload, or does it make it the same, or is it make it more? Can you comment on that, please?
Yes, I think we have seen in the video that the FMNR has a lot of benefit for women. It doesn't increase their workload at all because they have to just protect what is already on the ground. And then when these trees grow and they prune it, they are able to get the firewood. Because women, as the drought is advancing, the women have to travel long distance, kilometers, to get firewood. But with the FMNR on protecting their farm, they just need to prune, and they have the firewood already. You have seen it in the video. So it's reduced their travel distances, but also the workload of carrying firewood, which they have ready on hand. In addition, we have seen that the husband may help carry this firewood from the farm to the house. So that's a very positive contribution of the men trying to help or to help women carry their firewood. So I don't think that it's rather help them reduce their workload here.
So FMNR
save time for other activities.
It saves time for women. They don't have to go as far to firewood. They don't have to buy any firewood if they don't have enough. So it is a benefit, a direct benefit to women, is what you're saying, is what I hear you saying, Fatou. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Chumba, we all know that trees grow slow, and that's always been a problem. And sometimes farmers want to see immediate results. How many years does it take once farmers adopt FMNR before they see the sort of results that we saw in the videos?
It's hard to say because it depends on how depleted is the land at the beginning, and also the kind of trees they have, because trees do not grow at the same pace, and also depending of the rainfall. But in general, I would say if you implement FMNR only and not other additional agroecological practices, maybe the second year you can see, depending on the size of the tree. If you have big trees in your farm, the very first year you can see the difference, as trees also play the role of windbreak, and as it can help irrigate your plant, as we see from the roots. But if the trees are small, then you need to wait up to 2 to 3 years to see. It's only, I'm talking about the yield. But for the other type of services, for instance, fodder, the first year you see the benefits.
Right. So if you compare letting trees grow naturally from the roots, and those indigenous trees are growing, compared to transplanting, developing tree nurseries and then transplanting trees. Which of those trees, the transplanted tree or the tree growing from the stump, which one will grow faster?
The trees growing from the stump will grow faster, because if you transplant trees, at least in our area, because of the environment, the rate of survival is very low. Sometimes it's under 5% trees planted that survive. So I'm not even talking about growth, but it's survival. So according to me, in our area, it's much more better dealing with trees, local trees that sprout from shoots than going to transplant trees.
Fatu, thank you, Chamba. Fatu, another question.
Yes.
Do you have something to add?
Yes, to add. You know, many organizations are promoting FMNR because we have seen for many years, but a lot of projects for tree planting have not really been successful because of the rate, la survie. Sorry.
The survival rate of the transplanted tree.
Survival rate is very low because they will need watering and the watering is not there. So they will plant hectares of tree and it's not indigenous tree, which need water. And that's many of those projects are failed because of that. So FMNR, which is you go from stumps, it's much easier, much beneficial than planting the trees.
Okay, thank you, Fatu, for that.
Just what I want to do.
Yeah, I have another question for you, though. Again, with the benefits to the women, when you first start, you know, women, they are mostly responsible for collecting firewood. And if you want to protect the trees on your land, and then you tell the women, no, you can't cut the trees, is that not a problem for women? Because then you don't let them collect the firewood on the land that they normally would do, because the idea now is to let the trees grow taller. Is that a problem for convincing women to not cut the trees for firewood?
I think the point is offering an alternative to these women. Yes, because they didn't know before what is protecting FMNR, and they need firewood, they have to cut down the trees. But since we start promoting the FMNR, training them on how to protect the tree already on the farm, and also how to prune them so that they keep them, continue to grow. The pruning provides firewood. And this is the alternative for women, not to cut down the old tree down, but just prune it so that it will continue, but still they have their firewood for their home use. So it's a question of sensitization, awareness raising, but also showing evidence through exchange visit, through other farmer testimonies, and they found themselves that it can work.
Okay, thank you. Jumba, there is the question that if the trees are growing naturally, then you have trees all over the place on the farm. Is that not a problem for tillage with bullocks or tractors? Is that not an issue that you have?
Yes, that is an issue, but it depends on what type of agriculture you want. And obviously, you cannot use tractors if you want to implement FMNR. But for bullocks and donkeys, it's not a very big challenge because you still have spaces where you can till. The main challenge is about using tractors. And I think that is not compatible.
Okay, that's important to know. There is a question here for either you or Fatu. Does Groundswell have any experience in using biochar to increase the microbial and water capacity? Do you know what biochar is? It's like a way of burning trees to make something similar to charcoal. Do you have any experience with that? And what do you think about it?
I do not have any experience about it. And I think that in our context, it will be hard to implement, as in most area farm, you do not have even big trees to cut and make charcoal. And we sensitize farmers not to put fire, to set fire on their farm. So because all of this, it will be less successful in our area, but maybe Fatu has experienced it.
Fatu, any comment?
Not really. I just heard about biochar.
Yeah, biochar.
But frankly, I don't have an experience on that one.
Yeah, I think it's something that I've heard about especially in Eastern Africa, but it's not very widespread here as a way of increasing. Of course, it has those beneficial effects, but it doesn't seem to be very suited to. I mean, there are other things that seem to have greater impact and are more compatible with farmers there. I have another question in just the last couple of minutes, and I will answer this myself if you permit me, and then I'll ask Chomba or Fatu to add. The question is, first of all, a comment, such important work that you are doing. Does Groundswell have a particular strategy or hope from the Conference of Parties 26, the climate change? And I would say yes, we really see nature-based solutions, the increase of tree cover not on forests, but on farmland as if you look at the billions of hectares across the world where you could apply this technique that we've just shown you, it would have not only abilities to increase the adaptation of farmers to climate change, but also mitigate carbon emissions, because the more trees you have, the more carbon they suck out of the soil and they reduce the temperature. So we are engaged in other networks to try to promote through the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change, to raise awareness, and through the UN, the idea of FMNR as a key strategy for helping to reduce and mitigate climate change and include it in the nationally determined contributions that every country is making. Just by helping farmers to grow 10% or 20% more trees on their land, we can have a huge impact over a large scale. So that is our hope. And we hope that you will help us with that to promote this idea if we've convinced you that this is a viable strategy, especially in the drylands. So Chomba or Fatu, do you have any final comments in the few minutes we have left on that or any other issue? Chomba, you first. We'll give the...
No, not me.
Thank you very much. I will just insist on the relevance of FMNR for dryland area where we are as a solution to increase food security while mitigating the effect of climate change. It's a very efficient solution, and it can be implemented at large scale. And we should join hands and address this issue in collaboration with other people and create a movement at national level to convince decision makers to take in account these innovations.
Okay, thank you, Chomba. I have one other question I've just seen, and this one is for Fatu. Quite a few people are interested about the local credit and savings arrangements for women that was mentioned in the second video. And what role do you see that playing in terms of organization and the link to agroforestry? Fatu, if you could answer that last question, please.
Yeah, I think this is one way to mobilize local resources by women themselves because it's on their own fund that they collect, they redistribute among themselves to fund their activities. And this is very important to help them improve what they are doing. In case for, because they have this amount of money that they control, they can buy things related to how to protect their farm, how to buy seed, how to, so it's a way to mobilize local resources for funding their projects.
So there's a lot, sorry to interrupt you, Fatu.
For building leadership. Pardon me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to ask you to end there. So it is, you're saying is a very important way to mobilize women, engage them, help train them, and also improve their income and for leadership. So thank you for that. And thank you to all our participants and for your attention. And this will be the end of the session. We have to move the interpreters over to another session. So goodbye, everyone, and thank you for your attention.